We're looking at two skills needed to successfully do trig questions. The first skill is to do with your calculator. This will depend a bit on the calculator you have, but you'll need to make sure it's in, for the questions we do, degrees mode, and depending on the sort of calculator you'll usually see some indicator like deg or just a D. Watch out for ones that might say RAD, which stands for radians. That's not something you would do until you do some of the more advanced senior maths. So make sure it's not showing that. Change the setting to degrees mode, which is a deg or a D. On proper calculators, if you need to do something like sine of 30 degrees, once it's in degrees mode, you don't have to enter in any units. You would look for the button marked SIN, the abbreviation for sine. You hit 3, hit 0 and hit enter, and you'll get an answer. Be aware of PC and phone calculators. At this stage they tend to be really lousy calculators. They work like an old 80s calculator, calculator from the 80s or even before that. They're very old-fashioned, so they will work in a way I'll show you in a second. So a good calculator like a TI will work like this. Whether it's a button sign or you choose sign from a menu, basically you go sign first and then you hit in 3, 0, and you don't even have to close the brackets, you just hit enter and it'll come up with a half or 0.5. Whereas with a PC or a phone, they're pretty poor. So you hit 30 and then you hit the sign if it's a PC or a phone, and then you get a half or 0.5 that way. But it's not a good way of working, so try and use a proper calculator like your green TI-30 or another proper calculator. Let's do some quick questions to practice this skill on the calculator. You may want to have your calculator ready as well. The first one you see there is cos of 50 degrees. When your calculator is in degrees mode, and your calculator will be able to tell you that. Okay, see, mine does it that way, but you also do it a certain way, angles and deg or degrees. So you will hit the cos key, or if it's a menu like this one, choose cos. Okay, and put the angle in. So cos 50, you can see here with the cursor, is 0.642788. To 2 decimal places that would be 0.64 written in there. Tan of 8.5, entering that in the same way, tan of 8.5 to 2 decimal places is 0.15. Next one there, tan of 90 degrees. That's an interesting one. It says UNDEF. Oh, let's try it with a PC calculator. So I'm going 90, tan. It uses the old-fashioned way of doing it, and it says invalid input. If you can see that there in the top of the screen. So that's interesting. Occasionally trig values don't have an answer, as it were, so that's called undefined. There is no such thing as tan of 90. What about cos of 0? Try it on the old dumpy calculator. 0 cos, it says 1. Let's try it on the other one. So cos of 0, 1. So when we're starting out, we sometimes get answers we don't expect. There are reasons why tan of 90 is undefined and cos of 0 is 1. We'll get onto that in the future. But hopefully you've got those calculator skills. The second and final set of skills is to do with a bit of basic algebra which you need. So if we have something like 110 equals x over 3.9, how do we solve to find x? So the idea there is to get x by itself, and this is not new work, you should know how to do this, but as a bit of a refresher, that is to divide that line. So we need to remember times and divide are opposite or inverse operations. So we need to multiply both sides by 3.6. What you do to one side you have to do to the other. So there's the 110, that has to also be multiplied by 3.6. And the effect that has is to cancel that out, leaving just x over 1, or just x, which is what we want. And we've got 110 times 3.6, which is 396. So that's how we find x. Let's try one last one here, or maybe two last ones. What if we have a over 0.56 equals 0.86? Again, we need to multiply both sides by the same thing, and to get rid of that divide there, we need to multiply. So we need to multiply both sides by that. So a over 0.56 times 0.56 equals the 0.86 that's there, also multiplied by 0.56. What you do to one side you need to do to the other, and the reason why we're using times is that we have a divide there. Then we turn to our calculator so we can come up with the solution. So 0.86 times 0.56, so you can see from the calculator 0.4816, so we'll say 0.48. What if we have one final one here? This is something that you'll see as we go. What if we have cos 30 degrees equals b divided by 5? Cos of 30 degrees equals b divided by 5. We have to find b. So let's swap the sides, and then we've got to divide by 5 here. We need to multiply by 5 on both sides. So we have cos of 30 degrees times 5. They cancel, so we just have b. Cos of 30 is 0.5 times 5 is 2.5, so b equals 2.